Hello, my name is Micah, and in this video I want to talk about all the journals that I'm intending to keep in 2022. So this is my journal lineup for this year. I've seen other creators share their journal lineups, and there's always something that I've never thought about, like a journal that I've never thought about keeping, ideas of ways of using journals, and so I figured why not share my journal lineup and maybe some of you find some inspiration in that. So yeah, let's dive into these cuties. So for one, I am going to continue keeping a creative journal. This is something that I've really enjoyed over the last year, and so I'm going to keep going with it. So in my creative journals, I use printables, I use stickers, I use watercolors and drawing them myself. I love all the different kinds of things that I include. I think I've done a flip through at least from the first half of this book. I started this in October 2021. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna keep going with it. It's so much fun. Sometimes I just do little collages like this that have almost nothing to do with my day-to-day. But yeah, and in the writing portions of my creative journal, I write about thoughts, I write about my moods that day, or write about things that I've done, things that I've accomplished or struggled with, but then also I write about books that I'm reading and my thoughts on them, or movies that I've watched. Just a really eclectic mix of all kinds of different things. And again, sometimes I just use it as a creative space where I can just play with paper and coloring and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm gonna keep going having a creative journal. And this is a Midori MD notebook in the size A6. And with this one, I'm almost at the end. There are quite a few pages left, but I've noticed in the last couple of weeks that I haven't really grabbed for this as much as I used to. So I think it's time to switch it up and move into my next journal, even though there is still some paper left. And I'm usually not one to waste paper, but I think I'm gonna come back at some point and use this paper. And also, journaling for me is something that is supposed to bring joy and relaxation, and so I'm doing no one a favor, neither me nor the book itself, if I force myself to finish these pages right now. Because either way, if I don't feel motivated to work in this, these pages are also not gonna get filled. And so, yeah, I'm gonna move into, I already have my next creative journal all lined up and ready to go, with the cover all collaged. So this is gonna be my next creative journal. This is also a Midori notebook. This is from their cotton series, so that means that the paper has a percentile of cotton in them, which just makes the paper super absorbent. So that's gonna be really fun. And this is a little wider than B6, just in case you're interested. So yeah, this is gonna be my next creative journal. And I had bought this beautiful Hobonichi notebook cover last year, which unfortunately this one obviously won't fit into, but I'm sure I'm gonna go back to an A6 size journal at some point. But yeah, I love the little pockets and having little things stuck in here. Really cute. So yeah, that's the first journal that I'm going to continue keeping in 2022, which is my creative journal, which is sort of a catch-all and playground for all kinds of things. The next kind of journal that I'm going to keep is actually new to me, and it's a little commonplace book, and I'm using my commonplace book as a notebook where I'm keeping track of all the motivational and inspirational quotes that I come across here and there, and that I want to keep and cherish. And sometimes I have those sprinkled in my creative journal, but I figured it would also be nice to just have them all in one place. So if I want to reference something, or if I need some inspiration, I personally think quotes are always great to have on hand for, even as a journal prompt, if you want to journal but you're not quite sure what to journal about. And just to give you an example of some of the things that I keep in here, this is a quote by Dorothy Zella, a theologian. And the quote says, "If my hands are fully occupied in holding onto something, I can neither give nor receive." And here we have a Toni Morrison quote. "For me, success is not a public thing. It's a private thing. It's when you have fewer and fewer regrets." Really great quote, actually. So yeah, that's my little commonplace book. I keep the pages undecorated because it's more about the quotes and makes it easier to read them because it is such a small notebook. But yeah, that's gonna be my commonplace book. Something new that I'm trying. Also new this year is this journal. It's a Claire Fontaine notebook with this awesome retro-inspired cover design and a cloth binding and buttery smooth paper. Oh my goodness, this is such a joy to write on, and that's exactly what I'm doing. This is my morning pages dumping ground. So I basically just, in the mornings, if I feel especially chaotic in my head, I just write it all out, stream of consciousness, just to put it somewhere. So I'm guessing this is not going to be a journal that I, cherish and look back on or read through a lot of times, but it's still nice to keep a reference of. So I don't want to do that on like loose sheets of paper. I want to have that all in one place. But yeah, that's what this is, just morning pages. Write it all out to have it out of your head. And oh my goodness, I did not realize how helpful that would be, to just write it all out, and then all of a sudden my head is clear and I have space and quiet in my head to focus on the things I have to focus on and just keep going about my day. So yeah, that's what this is all about. This is what I call my visual journal. This is actually something that I've done in the past. It was actually the first type of journal that I ever kept. My old ones are all at my parents' place, so when next time I visit, maybe I can show you some of them. But basically what it is I draw my day, or aspects of my day. And that can look like this, where I just do these little vignettes with some writing. Here I was trying out a new recipe. Here I was trying out our new vacuum cleaner. Here I found some sewing patterns that I want to try out. Things like of that nature. And then last Sunday I made a little mini comic. So it can look a little different depending on what I'm trying to capture, or the kind of shape of the day, if that makes any sense. And yeah, it's just, I really enjoy it because it allows me to capture things that I might not, that might not come up in either my morning pages or even in my, creative journal. So last year I primarily kept my creative journal. Yeah, I think that was pretty much the only journal that I've kept last year. And so this year I want to experiment with different kinds of journals and experiment with okay, so if I have a visual journal, what kind of things do I put in here? And what happens if I just write? I don't know if I'm making any sense, but basically, have you experienced that where you keep different types of notebooks and you have different sort of modes of capturing your memories and your emotions that you tap into different things? So for example, in this here, me trying out the new vacuum cleaner, I don't know if I would have captured that in my creative journal, or if I would have, you know, written about trying out that new recipe. And so I just think having different kinds of journals will help me have a broader, what is that word? I don't know. Maybe I'm just waffling, but let me know if you can understand what I'm trying to say here. And then also look at this. I think these are the kinds of colors I love. Sort of a peachy, corally red and dramatic pinks. That's quite the color story right here. So yeah, really fun. Really, really fun. Okay, I have one more thing to share with you. Now, this is not a journal yet, but I do want to keep making handmade journals, junk journals. I've made 2 last year and had a lot of fun both in making them as well as using them. All the different papers, from patterned papers, scrapbook papers, vintage book pages, magazine pages. It's so much fun to curate and bind together and then use that I definitely want to keep some more handmade journals this year. These covers I started making last year, but somehow never finished. So that is definitely something I want to keep doing and using this year. Not sure yet what I'm going to do with this one specifically, but yeah, it's just another fun creative thing to work on and use. And there we have it. This is my journal lineup, at least for now, for 2022. I hope you found this inspiring and maybe heard something new that gave you, or even just gave you an idea of something you want to try out. Please let me know in the comments what kind of journals you intend on keeping this year. I love to hear and I love to talk all things journal and journaling and different types of journals. I think it's so fascinating and there's so many different ways to journal. And yeah, I just hope you find a way of journaling that brings you joy. And yeah, thanks so much for sharing this time with me, and until next time, happy journaling!